17 points, Davey.
Yeah.
How about that?
That was awesome.
So the question would be, how do we play like that after playing like that?
You know, I was telling Andrew earlier this morning, I said the momentum has to carry over from Monday's game into Saturday against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Well, and I said it.
I have a bit of a hoarse voice after.
Oh, after
that.
the screaming,
Holy cow.
yeah. So what I said yesterday was this is typical Syracuse. We'll lose to a team like Georgia Tech, but then they'll find it in their hearts or their true athletic ability to beat a team like Duke. And at Cameron Indoor, after a 12-0 deficit to start, I mean.
I do say Manasseh's probably got it right that Georgia Tech game was a bit of a soccer game because you had to be looking to Duke. If you're Syracuse, you had to be looking to Duke, right? And they were. All right. Lots to get into here, and I know it's early yet, but we're looking at a winter storm this weekend, and I know you roll your eyes. But I've never seen them do this before, the National Weather Service, but they're talking about the storm now. So, like, when you go to look up the forecast, it will say for Saturday and Sunday, we're looking at a winter storm. We're following a winter storm. Now Davey's hitting his head with it. You don't trust him.
No, because I'm spending the weekend in Albany this weekend.
Oh, you better leave early.
And they're saying that it could come there.
Yeah, it probably will if it does hit us, right? I mean, it's still very, very early. But.
If it's snowing and it's 35 or 30, because sometimes when it's get the heavy snow, it's warmer. I'll take it. I'll take that over sub-zero temperatures.
They are working on, I believe the vote came yesterday for the primary to be moved to June, and it's done, right? I mean, the governor still has to sign it, but and they have to kind of figure everything out. We have some ideas as to what some of the deadlines are going to look like. But you're going to have to see people getting out in February and March, end of February, and the month of March getting out and getting signatures.
Always fun that time of year to do a little bit of.
And around here, you never know what the weather's going to be like. It could be we could be in the thick of winter at that point.
So not only did they pass the change for the primaries, but to keep the federal and state on the same day, but early voting is now going to be a thing in New York, which. Yeah, it will be strange to me a little bit. But
additionally, the plastic bag ban. It looks like a full-out ban on plastic bags with some exclusions, but a full-out ban on plastic bags in New York.
Yeah,
the governor
and stretch limousines and manufactured ones.
That part I don't understand. How do you eliminate stretch limousines?
Well, because, again, I mean, I don't know if do manufacturers even make them? Like does Ford make a limousine? I mean, I thought most of them were.
Well, where are all these limousines coming from? They're not all custom. I think maybe what he's talking about are the ones that they take the SUVs and they customize them. But even those, to get rid of those and ban them entirely, it'd be one thing to regulate them, but to ban them entirely is crazy, I think, anyway.
And a lot of that's probably his response to the tragedy. The 20 people killed, and it is. But
absolutely
is.
If the cause of that Herkimer fire is out now, they're saying it was an accidental electrical problem. Boy, you got to wonder, these things can happen, and especially with some of these older houses. We'll talk more about that coming up this morning. Father Sean O'Brien is in studio. Pretty excited about that. He has some news. He had a really, really serious health scare recently, and he's on his way in right now. I've spoken to him already this morning, and Father Sean O'Brien coming in. Tanya J. Powers standing by right now. Something that can't happen in New York is a teacher's strike, but it can happen in California. It's the first time in how long, Tanya?
30 years.
30 years, and they are... striking for smaller class sizes. I believe some of their classes have over 40 students in them. That's a pretty big number.
Yeah, from the numbers I'm seeing are 45, 46, 50 even. You think about that, that's just not even, I can't even wrap my head around that. I don't know where you'd put that many students in a classroom.
Imagine the teacher having to grade all of those papers. It's like...
there's all of that. But you've got the L.A., school district is where this is happening. They've got 600,000 students. 32,000 teachers are on strike. Started yesterday, continues today. Like you said, what they're what they want is, smaller class sizes. They want more staff members. They're asking them to hire more teachers. They're also asking them to hire, nurses, counselors, that kind of thing. Because a lot of times, when you have tight school budgets or, they're, putting less into it, that's one of the first positions to go, school nurse.
It's really, these strikes in New York, they have a collective bargaining agreement here. So our teachers can't strike legally in New York, but that is not the case there. So who's teaching these kids while the teachers are out on strike? Do they just have the day off?
No, they're actually still in school. Again, let's do the numbers: 600,000 students, and then they've hired 400 substitute teachers, and they're redoing the administration staff of about maybe 2,200 maybe.
Yeah.
So you're talking about maybe 2,600 teachers or people acting in teachers' roles at this point to replace 32,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so some parents say they're not sending their kids to school, even if school is open. They're not going to send them because they're like, I don't know that they're going to be, safe, much less taught with that few of amount of people who are, handling things.
Which means class sizes just got a whole lot bigger.
Yeah, a whole lot bigger.
All right, Tanya, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. You have a wonderful day. Tanya J. Powers from Fox News. Did you see I'm beginning to see this is happening around the country. There's a group out there. And I've actually done this once before. Years ago, we did this back when AOL chat was really big. And it was a radio thing we did, and we were like, well, we're going to pretend to be a 15-year-old girl online and see what happens. And it was unbelievable, the number of adult males that started chatting and hitting on us portraying a 15-year-old female. And then when we switched it and said we're not really a 15-year-old female, we're a 15-year-old boy, the pervert that was on to us was okay with that. He was good with either a boy or a girl. Anyway, this group it's a national group in Syracuse. They did what they said was they're calling it a vigilante sting. So they tried to do a hookup with this guy who is 35 years old. There's a picture of him in the Syracuse paper. And, of course, he's innocent until proven guilty, even if he doesn't look all that innocent. But this vigilanteism resulted in the arrest of this guy. Now, the DA out there is saying, we recommend people don't do this. You never know. You can come across somebody that is, dangerous. They could have a gun. Could be anything like that. But they began chatting with this guy and then met up with him in a parking lot and confronted him on video. Here's some quotes on the video. I swear, this video's been taken down. It was put up on Facebook. I swear, this will not happen again, he told the two vigilantes, adding he didn't know the person he was texting was underage, but the video and the evidence that they collected is completely in contrast to that. We're handing this over to the police, the vigilante said. Can you please not do that, said the man. And they did turn it over to the police, and he has been arrested. He's also been fired from his job. He works at AAA in Syracuse, and the company would simply say, we are aware of the fact that a former employee is involved in a video on Facebook. He is no longer employed by AAA. Authorities say they do not recommend people do this on their own.
So if you've ever seen To Catch a Predator, basically his quotes are the highlight reel, the promo clips of that show. I swear I didn't know. Please don't tell the cops. I'll never do it again.
This is the only I'll never do it again is the you're right. That's the
hopefully
that's the
you won't
classic
in
line.
prison. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
But you never know, in prison it might be done to you.
Yeah.
So
almost guaranteed.
Yeah. Anyway, probably not a good idea to do it on your own. But this is a national group that says, listen, we're done. We're doing it. We're taking matters into our own hands. And a guy in Silicon Valley, California, pays $1,500 a month so two cats can have their own apartment.
Okay.
Yep. Well, one would say, well, you have too much money. But guess what? If you make the money, I guess you can do with it whatever you choose. They're his daughter's cats, but she could not keep them in her college dorm in L.A., And he couldn't keep them at his place because they don't get along with his dog. So he rented an apartment for them in the most expensive real estate market in the country. It's 400 square feet, so it's not all that large. But for a pair of cats, 400 square feet is pretty good.
It's size. A house in New York City.
Well, you're right. It's a very good point. And it doesn't have a bathroom. Here's the landlord who says the housing market is crazy and the cats are really kind of living large.
He says, I have nowhere to put these cats. I said, well, I got a room. I've been thinking about renting it. He says, hey, what if I paid you to put my cats up? I said, what do you mean? He says, well, what if they just stayed in the room? I said, okay, sure, I guess. I said, what do you mean? He says, just all the time. I'll come visit them, and I live close. And I said, sure, no problem. So I said, okay, well, we'll try it. I figured, cats, they don't have opposable thumbs. They don't have attitude. Well, they have attitudes, but they don't talk back. So that's great. So I said, why not? So we stuck them in, and they've been great. They live in there. We come see them. We feed them. We keep them there, and they're loving life. They're living large. Yeah, I don't rent to cats or anybody else. I wanted to rent to somebody, and I probably ultimately will end up renting the place to somebody. But
I got to tell you something. I almost feel like you'd be better off with the cats. Yes. It's two cats. In some cases, better off with the cats than you would be some people who would rent your apartments.
Almost guaranteed.
If you talk to landlords in the area, some of them they're extremely frustrated because it is so difficult to find people that'll take care of the property, which is yours, like it is their own.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's so funny when I talk to people. They're like, it doesn't matter. Old people, young people, rich people, poor people, it doesn't matter. Everybody trashes their apartment.
And the Clemson Tigers visited the White House last night since they beat Alabama and won the national championship last week. And President Trump brought them, quote, McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King's with some pizza. He calls it Burger King's. I'm not sure why, but anyway, and plural. And pizza because I would think that's their favorite food. The president paid for it himself because of the government shutdown.
The Clemson championship team, the national championship team, will be coming tonight. It'll be exciting. A very great team, an unbelievable team. And I think we're going to serve McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King's with some pizza. I really mean it. It'll be interesting. And I would think that's their favorite food. So we'll see what happens. But they're coming tonight, the national champions, subject to the weather.
That's just Trump's favorite food. He's like, I want to have it.
I got to tell you, being on the low carbs thing, I'm all about it. Bring it on. Filet of fish, double cheeseburgers,
Big Macs, Whoppers.
I sometimes, when you go off on a binge, some people go on Coke binges. Mine is usually a Diet Coke and burgers and Big Macs and filet of fish. Anyway, I'm sure they do like it, and those kids probably that is their favorite food. So there you go. Burger King's.
And by the way, they didn't have any napkins, so he sent one of the staffers to Walmart's.
To the Walmart.
6:32. Andrew will update the news coming up in a second. We'll talk to Peter Franklin, the Gabby Cabbie in New York City. And as I said, Father Sean O'Brien had a real serious health scare and was in the hospital for quite some time over the holidays.
Oh, wow.
He'll explain. And there's always explanation with a bit of a lesson, right? Reminding you, from me, it was Tim Reed that inspired me to go out and get that colonoscopy done and all the other blood tests. It's a simple test, right? You go out and you get your blood work done. It'll give you an idea if you're okay or you need to have a little bit of a follow-up. So we'll get to it with Father Sean in the 7 o'clock hour this morning, 6:32 at WIBX. Essentially, it's growing in a little biosphere they send up there just to see if they could do it. But what happens when the biosphere runs out of air and water?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, humans could live on the moon as well as long as we created an environment, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's a space suit or it's a...
Wait, we talked about this last week. No, a carrier dome.
A little carrier dome.
Carrier dome.
Yeah. It would change my neighborhood entirely.
You wouldn't really need AC on the moon. I think you need heat. Lots of heat.
But that's interesting, Jeff. I find that's quite interesting. Also, with the Oscars coming up, there's a new potential host out there. Cheech and Chong have offered to host the Oscars. They posted a video on Tommy's Twitter page asking users to share their video.
You know, we've been thinking about this particular question a long time and been talking about it back and forth, and we've decided that we're going to save the Oscars this year and that we will be the hosts.
Yeah, we're going to be the host. I'll be Frank.
I was going to be Frank.
That would be something, huh?
It would. You know, and I think the Oscars, this is where they don't have a host, right? Obviously. I think the best thing to do is in typical, everybody makes the complaint now that everyone wins an award and everything like that.
Yeah.
No host, no award winners. Everyone in the nomination has won the award.
They all just share the glory of being nominated.
Why not?
I like it.
Let them go up there, give their speeches.
Michael says, Dave, and also confirms, the Chinese literally set up an ecosystem under glass on the moon, and that's how it's growing.
Then I'm sorry, it's not technically growing on. I mean, it is growing on the moon, but it's not. The moon is not a result. It's not any factor in the growing of the continent.
Well, the idea would be if you created a dome of some sort, you could live and possibly grow things on the moon. So I guess.
How big of a dome did they build?
I don't think it's that. This is like an enclosure type thing.
Like those third graders have their little plant things.
It's like a, what do they call those things? A trans, remember they used to have, they were plastic, and they would be kind of a little bubble type, like a little globe thing, and you could buy them at Nichols department store and bring them home, and you put dirt in there, and you could grow
it's like a little greenhouse?
Cacti and like a little greenhouse type thing. It was like a little, I forget what they're called, but
listen,
anyway.
When they can do a chia pet on the moon, then I'll be impressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave Gordon claims that we know that he has on his website. There is the landing page now that reads, instead of Dave Gordon for county clerk, he switched it up and now says Dave Gordon for Oneida County executive.
Mm-hmm.
There's one member of our team here that doesn't believe, that thinks this is a hoax, and he's expecting that people in the media, including us, will jump right on it. Davey, the three people here in the studio, which one of us do you believe doesn't buy the Dave Gordon story?
Let's see.
Is it Jeff? Is it Andrew? Is it me? Who is suspect?
The man with the New York Mets hat on, I'm going to guess.
All right. I think that's a very good guess because Manaske does not believe it.
Yeah, what he's won.
I was just surprised to see it.
Congratulations, Davey. You've won the chance to continue working with us. That's just the chance, though. Just the chance. Okay.
I'm not saying he wouldn't seriously run. I'm just saying I just wonder, coming off, it was very close in the clerk's race. It just seems awfully soon to be gunning for another county position.
You're absolutely correct.
I mean,
you're right.
If it was anybody else, that would make sense.
You're absolutely right,
so
Andrew. I'm with all of you guys.
Okay.
It's crazy. Okay. You're right.
Is it? I'm wondering, is it a feeler? Is he throwing it out there to see if a certain few folks want to support him, or if maybe there's some financial backing, if there's a disagreement with Vicente on something?
I'm in full belief that he's all in.
Well, and for it being so early, it's got to be what happened yesterday.
You just agreed with me. What happened?
No, I agreed with you that it's nuts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not that it's not real.
Crazy, but I think it's real.
Well, because he's got it, like we said. Yeah. You said it yesterday, Bill. All these people have to announce early, and
you got to.
He's going to need to announce as early as possible.
I just find that
so that he can get his name recognition out there.
What is he? What would? There's not even the worry of the optics of it. Like, you just keep running for anything you can find until you actually win. And what would it be like? Just for a moment, I gave a little preview back in October or September of what it would be like if Dave Gordon became Oneida County clerk. But can you imagine for just one moment what it would be like if he became county executive? Good morning, Father.
Let's pray on it.
Could you imagine for just one moment what it would be like if Dave Gordon actually won and became Oneida County executive? Holy moly.
Well, here's one issue, and this affects everybody. I think one of the things when he was on the county board was he was opposed to, and a lot of people are, the 8 3/4% sales tax.
Yeah.
He was in. I'd have to go back and look, but the conversation always came up about, do we reduce it or do we extend it? Okay, and I believe Dave was in the reduce it camp. But in order to offset that, you'd have to raise property taxes, right? I mean, you couldn't give up.
It's always easy to say, I will reduce this, I will cut that, I will reduce. But how do you do that? What's your plan to actually accomplish it? And if you recall, he was going to, his big thing was the DMV. He was going to he was going to put up a satellite office in New Hartford for the DMV. Mm-hmm. He said it was going to cost like $1 million. I forgot what his number was. But and how do you pay for that? Well, it would pay for itself eventually. It would make money eventually. But doesn't it really just kind of borrow from Peter to pay Paul? How many people are really going to Madison County or to Herkimer County where the revenue, you'd be able to pull that revenue back? I don't know. You got to figure out how to pay for this stuff. And to be honest with you, you're going after a county executive who whether you agree or disagree with him, has been fiscally pretty smart. Pacenti has been. Even though I get it, we have a high sales tax. But when you look at their house is in order, it's always a balanced budget. They're always on the positive side. So what do you get in and you kind of, I'm going to fix everything that doesn't seem to be overly broken. Interesting. We'll talk to Peter Franklin, the Gabby Cabby in New York City coming up, and Father Sean O'Brien with a lot to talk about here this morning. We'll have him coming up in studio at WIBX. Peter Franklin is the Gabby Cabby in New York City, and the best tour you'll find in the Big Apple, and he's on the line right now. Peter, good morning.
Good morning. I must clear my throat. It's that upstate air that's getting me.
Well, another snowstorm, so they say, is headed our way for the weekend.
Oh, goody, goody, goody. That's very good. It's good to be a cab driver then, because as you drive down Fifth Avenue, people are standing there with their pleading eyes.
Yes.
Oh, please pick me up. Please pick me up.
Did you get any of this latest storm? I know D.C. got hit pretty good.
Nah, nothing. In New York, because of the buildings and heat that's generated, the sidewalks, I mean, it's definitely the concrete jungle. We very rarely get any. What happens, though, is that nobody here has the right snow tires and all those things. So if we do get snow, we really are kind of up the creek.
My wife was reading your website and just made the simple comment, they're giving vasectomies to deer and you won't get one. I'm glad that you've gotten this whole thing started back up in my household. But what is this deer vasectomy program?
Well, the point of the story on the website is to point out to people that we're not really just a concrete jungle, and that we do have a lot of flora and fauna, especially on Staten Island, which many of you nice listeners know is the most rural of the 5 boroughs. And so they've had a program there where they're doing whatever they do to deers, so they won't have any baby deers. And the reason for that is, as you guys know, I mean, there isn't anybody in your audience who hasn't had an encounter with a deer on an upstate road.
Right, yeah.
They're very dangerous. So you see, everything is collapsing in our society. Now Bambi has become the killer.
I have to tell you, it's the one sign you see, especially as you head upstate, is the deer. Beware of the deer. And it's quite a... there are stories where people hit a deer, it does damage to the car, but there are those really freak stories where the deer comes through the windshield and sometimes kills the person on the inside.
Yeah, well, and as I say, and that's why you tune into Keeler.
Yeah.
Where else would you find out that deer is a problem in New York City?
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. I wanted to ask you, the governor is proposing all of this from pot legalization to the elimination and the banning of plastic bags. Do you think that'll be an issue in New York?
Well, listen, I mean, it's part of society's responsibility to contribute to everybody's good health and what have you. But, I mean, I have the gut feeling, I haven't done great research on it, but I think the amount of damage that's being done to the world by the plastic straws is probably infinitesimal than the plastic bags.
Yeah.
So, it's the nanny state. And that's kind of the funny thing that as I do put stories like that on the Gabby.com site, I'll get an email from people in different parts of the world saying, boy, you guys are really, everything is the nanny state.
Yeah. Well, and the nanny city as well, because the mayor is they're trying to step in and require employers. I think I read this.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks vacation. It would be mandatory. Right now, vacation is not mandatory in New York State.
It's a wonderful idea. It's a great idea. I endorse it. There's only one minor little problem. The companies are going to move out of New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in theory, it's all very nice, and it's sort of like the same thing. You see the pictures of the migrants coming up from Central America and South America and all that, and it can break your heart, and you can realize the misery that they're going through. But the politicians just screw everything up. And when de Blasio says give everybody a 2-week vacation, all over New York City, you heard people saying, "That's it, Martha. We're moving to North Carolina."
Yeah, that's it. We're done. We can't afford to do business here anymore. How about restaurants in New York are talking about something called surge pricing? What is that?
That's been a fight in the taxi industry for many years, and although the yellow cabs haven't done it, I mean, the yellow cabs might lie to somebody and say, "Well, I could take you to the airport, but if you want to go now, you got to give me $10 more than that's on the meter." That's sort of like an informal surge pricing.
Yes.
Lyft and what's the other one? Uber have kind of programmed it into their software. And they want to cut it out because they think it's unfair. And therein lies the question, does the cab driver or the restaurant have an obligation not to make money? In other words, is it his responsibility to keep it fair? So you'll go in and they'll say, "Oh, hello, Mr. Keeler, Mrs. Keeler, but if you want meal now, it's going to be another $15.
And one more before we let you go. I'm hearing that New York is the city for museums, and you can see some of the most incredible artwork in the museums of New York. I mean, you can spend days just going through the amazing museums in the Big Apple. But there might be a new one, the Museum of the Dog. It's coming to New York. Yeah,
we got a few dogs here.
Yeah.
And what's most amazing about New York City, and I can brag about it, New York City is very good when it comes to picking up after the dog. So everybody here is running around with a dog, but everybody is picking up after the dog. And so, of course, they're having this museum now that's going to honor the fact that everybody here seems to have a dog. You don't pick up after your dog in New York City. Forget about the museum for a minute. You're going to have 15 people yelling, "Hey, lady, pick up after your dog."
They shame you into it.
Really, it's probably the biggest no-no that's going in.
Best tour in New York City. It's Peter's cab tour, and he'll take you all over the Big Apple and the boroughs to show you places you probably had no idea even existed. It really is, Peter, the best tour in New York City. So,
well, thank you for that.
Gabby.com. We'll do it again next week. Thank you, Peter Franklin.
You got it, sweetheart.
Coming up, we'll talk to Father Sean O'Brien, who spent the holidays in the hospital. It was before, right? Just before. You were home for the holidays.
Forgot how to do radio.
I didn't know we were on.
We're live.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year. I'm so glad to see you here in studio.
Nice to be home. I spent in between Thanksgiving and Christmas at Northwestern Medical in Chicago.
Oh, my God.
We're going to fill you in on the whole deal on what he went through and what you're going through, but we feel there's good news on the other side. We'll explain all of it coming up with Father Sean.
I don't want to talk about the other side. Not yet.
Easy with that.
Not my business.
My apologies for that. We'll come right back here. Hobica's free money question of the day coming up in a few minutes. In studio right now is Father Sean O'Brien. And good morning, Father.
Good morning, Bill. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
It's nice to be back.
Well, let's go through what you went through. This was, and you know, anytime you're in a hospital,
right,
there is the procedure you go through, and then there's the fear of complication, infection, et cetera, et cetera. So what's going on?
Well, it all started in September. You ever see the movie Blazing Saddles?
I guess I have.
You know the comedy. The guy gets off. He's been riding the horse all day. You know how he walks. So I had a colonoscopy and I had a prostate biopsy all in 1 week, and that's that's how I was walking for a while.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I can't say it on the radio because it's vulgar, but a lot of people say I'm a real. And the colonoscopy showed that I am. It's all squared away on that end. So,
I don't know anyone that says you're a real
so that worked out. But I went from a 2-point-something PSA to a 4-point-something PSA to a 9.21.
What?
Wow.
Within like 4 months, 5 months. And the only reason I know that, why I had so many blood tests, is because my doctor retired, so I had to find a new physician.
Okay.
So I had my initial blood test. The new physician wanted a blood test. That seems kind of high. We want to send you to a urologist who wanted a blood test. So thank God they didn't take the other doctor's results because it was going fast. So then AMP Urology, the best, in my opinion, the best, has been looking after me in the Syracuse area. Dr. DeRosalia over there, and he did a prostate biopsy. Well, anyway, I'll never hear the sound of a staple gun the same way.
Okay,
because that's what it sounds like. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
You know, it's they numb you up a little bit, and but it's every time they take a sample. So now I'm in the church.
So they're grabbing tissue.
I'm in the church office now, and the ladies are collating the bulletins and stapling, and I'm like, so anyway, they found 6 out of 12 samples popped positive for cancer.
Wow.
So they have a thing called a Gleason Score, and they have these magic numbers that they figure out. 3 plus 3 or 4 plus 2. They both equal 6, but one is worse than the other. Anyway, I ended up being a Gleason score of a number 6. And so being 53 years old, I'll be 54 this year, they said that radiation was certainly an option, but at being so young, surgery would be better. So the older you are, you'll die of something else, right? Because it's slow.
They say you shouldn't die of prostate cancer.
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
And but they to get radiation at such a young age was not favorable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So certainly an option, and everybody's different, but not a favorable option. So I had an option for surgery. So I had 2 types of surgery. One was robotic, where things just like these microphone holders jab you into your torso, and if you could imagine a Hamilton Beach mixmaster just
going in and
then suck it out from some little tiny hole. That's a possibility. The doctor's in that room and you're in this room. Or the old-fashioned, what's called an open radical retropubic prostatectomy. Big words for 7:20 in the morning.
Well, I remember when you texted me that, and you said, I'm not going to explain it to you, Google it.
Right, Google it. So that's the old, they slice you open.
Sounds so scary.
Yeah, they slice you open like a book.
Yeah.
They clamp your skin and muscles, and they dive in.
Yeah.
And there was 2 or 3 doctors there, so I had 6 eyes on me. And
you're out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just confirming it.
So I showed up on the 29th of November. We had that storm, so my flight was canceled. My surgery got postponed. So I flew out on the 28th and spent the night with my sister. 4.2 miles up Lakeshore Drive from the hospital. How convenient was that?
Yeah.
So I stayed the night with my sister, and then I went in Thursday morning at 5 in the morning. They stick a thing in your hand, IV-like, in your hand. You put on that real sexy hospital gown.
Yeah.
And you sit there, and this dude walked in and said, "Hi, I'm the anesthesiologist. Count back from 10.
And you're gone. Yeah.
I woke up 2 days later.
Wow.
Higher than a kite. So it was...
Must have been a crazy 2 days.
Yeah, it was... no, I woke up that afternoon, and they had taken out my prostate and the seminal vesicles and some of the lymph nodes because the cancer... The surgeon told me that the cancer had spread right to the edge, to the point where there could have very well been external organ transfer.
Which is a real problem.
Right, because then if it goes to your... what did I just say they were?
Lymph nodes. Well, if you go lymph nodes,
it goes to there, or if it goes to your bone. Right.
Yeah.
So at the end of January, I have another blood test. They can't do it too soon or they get a false reading. So at the end of January, I have another blood test to see if they got all the cancer. And if they did, hooray, hooray. And if they didn't, then we're off to radiation.
Right. So this has been I did speak to you at a couple of points where you were, I will say you were telling me some graphic stories about what you've
3 weeks on a catheter.
Yeah. That catheter thing alone just makes me
it's
cringe.
A killer.
Yeah,
and the balloon beats up the inside of your bladder. I don't care what they tell you.
I know.
And right now, I'm very good. I don't wear a diaper anymore because when they pull the catheter out, you have no control.
Right.
So thank God for Depends. I mean, I know there's Poise and there's all this other stuff out there, okay. But my buddy Pete Scouten, they're up in Forestport, put me onto these, and they were very good. And but now I'm into these inserts that you put in your regular underwear.
Okay.
But the dog at 13 is still better house trained than I am.
These are the things that we deal with.
That's right.
Yes.
So I let her out at 9:30, and she's good until 5 in the morning. I go to bed at 9:30, and I got to get up about 11. I got to get up again around 2. But at least I know I got to go, and I go. I don't wake up to a wet bed. So
That's good.
Thank the doctor and the good Lord for that.
Well, because one of the side effects of all of this could be that you have that problem for the rest of your life.
So. And so the surgeon who operated on me has been doing this for years. I mean, he operated on a priest friend of mine 18 years ago. Same guy, same procedure, and I mean, he pretty much wrote the book on nerve sparing and so on, PSA testing. So he did the surgery. And I went there not because I wasn't pleased with the Syracuse surgeon.
Yeah.
I met with the AMP surgeons in Syracuse, and I was very impressed.
Yeah.
I just, in my mind, everybody's different. And I'm sitting down, I'm saying my prayers, I'm driving the car, I'm thinking about this stuff. And I just don't want R2-D2 sticking his prongs into me.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a person, a man or a woman who's done this before, and be seen by 2 or 3 doctors. But I now my buddy Todd, his father-in-law had the robotic surgery, and fantastic results.
The word is on the robotic, from what I understand, is it can it's less invasive.
Yes,
and your recovery time is usually quicker.
True.
However, I've heard others say the robots just don't have the same gentle touch that a physician would have.
The benefits of robotic surgery, in my opinion, as a patient, and I'm not a doctor, I don't have a medical experience, but as a patient, I don't think the benefits of robotic surgery outweigh the issues. And so that's why I chose open.
Can I ask you referring to this PSA score, this PS score?
Right.
What I don't know what that means. You said it was 2, 4, and then it was 9.
This is what Tim went through.
Right.
The prostate puts out a the prostate emits something that shows up in your blood.
It's just a metric that measures with trouble. I guess.
I don't know if it's an antigen or if it's a juice or I don't know. But anyway, the prostate. Now I got to watch because in church we use the word prostrate. Anyway, the prostate emits a chemical that is detectable in the blood, and it should not emit a lot.
Okay.
When it starts emitting a lot, you have an issue.
And when you see it increase rapidly, like really you did, that's giving you a sign that this is moving too quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any issues. So one of the things I've been telling, like Bill had asked, do you mind if we talk about it? And I said, no, not at all. Not for attention or sympathy, but for awareness.
Yeah.
I had no issues. So my urologist actually thought I just had a high count. Some men do.
Mm-hmm.
He did not think I was going to pop positive for cancer. When we had that biopsy, we were both surprised.
Yeah.
I never got up at night to wee. I didn't pee often. When I pee like a racehorse.
Mm-hmm.
There was when the doctor did a digital exam, there was no enlargement to the prostate. So I had absolutely zero external indicators that there might be a problem, except for the number in my blood.
Wow.
And thank God you discovered that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise, another 6 months.
They're finding it younger and younger. So I'm on the 12th floor of Northwestern Medical.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's not an advertisement because there's 2,000 miles between us.
Yeah.
But what a staff at that hospital. The nurses, the nurse practitioners, the patient care technicians, even food and nourishment would come in, and they'd sit and visit. I mean, just a great experience I had.
Yeah.
And we were all prostate removal people.
So it's what they do.
That's on that particular floor.
In that floor.
And at 53, I was not the youngest.
Wow.
I mean, there were guys in their 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
I would have gotten the radiation.
Yeah.
But at 53, there was a 47-year-old dude there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
And it's like, and when they cut your muscle wall open, I mean, you can't move.
Yeah.
So I sent Andrew a text with a photograph yesterday. He said, I hear you're coming. I'll be happy to see you. So I shot him a text. Last week, I tried starting my 1966 Ski-Doo. And it's more than 40 pounds of pressure when you pull on that old Rotax. And let me tell you, pull squirt.
Yeah.
I finally got the... Once I got the sled running and changed my diaper, I took a ride around the yard, and I felt great. And it was a personal accomplishment.
Right. Yeah.
The next day, I couldn't move.
Right.
My torso, the muscles that they had cut open just above the pubic bone, holy macaroni, was I sore the whole next day. So,
you
still a
have
little
to,
early.
You have to, you got to be very...
Obey your doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Obey your wife.
Wow.
Obey your doctor.
So it's amazing how we're hearing all of this. It feels like we've gone all this time and we've never talked about this, and all of a sudden now we know all of these people that are going through it.
And a lot of guys don't like to talk about it. They. I know that No Shave November, we have Pink in October for breast cancer awareness. No Shave November is for prostate cancer awareness.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just think No Shave November is like, oh, it's hunting season. You shave when you get your buck. But in fact, the whole No Shave November is prostate awareness.
And before these tests, there was no. I mean, you
Nothing.
once you began to have the really bad symptoms, by that point, it's probably spread to other organs, and that's so. Prior to these tests, which are pretty simple, just a quick little blood test.
Yeah.
Prior to this, there was no way to detect it,
and the biopsy. It doesn't really hurt. I mean, there's a sensation. I'm not used to 2 items at the same. I'm not used to anything. But then all of a sudden, a tube and a staple gun going up my duff. Was hello. But and I said to the doc, you gotta tell me what's happening. You can't just surprise me like that. I'm not, And I think the whole AMP building, he went up, and I'm like, hello. And then, so then he was very good. He says, now you'll feel the needle, and I did. And the biopsy is not that painful. I've heard guys say, oh, my God, I held on to both sides of the table. I didn't, and look at me. It's not like I'm Mr. Tough Guy.
I think the thought of it all is part of
it's humbling.
The scariness.
It's
it is.
And I will say that about the surgeon and the surgeon staff in Chicago. And the urologist I have through AMP Urology, never, ever have I felt humiliated. It's humbling.
Yeah.
But I never felt humiliated. The professionalism and the care, and every patient, you're not just a number in their medical journals. You are a life.
There is, and I was looking at this recently, there's a U.S. News and World has a ranking of facilities, every facility, and it's everyone in our area, everyone across the country, those in what they specialize in, whatever you have to go into the hospital for, and they have a ranking, and it goes through whatever the procedure might be. It might be a mortality ranking, but there's a thing in there about patient experience, and when you look through it, I would imagine that's unbelievably important. Right?
It is. And the hospital I went to in Chicago.
A lot of poor ratings out there, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them where people's experience, anyway, is a negative experience.
It's a huge part of recovery. The hospital I went to in Chicago, a few years ago, they stopped having more than one patient in a room. They made the commitment that every single patient gets his or her own room. And it is huge when it comes to patient recovery.
Yeah.
The
number of nurses on staff is so. If you go to a place where they're cutting back,
you don't want that.
Yeah,
but as good as the nurses are, they're still a killer. Your sleep patterns are. Forget it. They wake you up for vitals. Then the next one comes in and wakes you up for meds. Then the next one comes in and wakes you up to take a sleeping pill. I mean, it's,
talking to Father Sean O'Brien, and Father was you were up in the Forestport area, up north, but also at Lady of Lords, and now you're out in the
now I'm out in
Syracuse
County,
and Bridgeport.
East Syracuse, Manoa, and Bridgeport.
So the word is though that all is they believe they got everything, and
the surgeon seems to think that the surgery was favorable.
Yeah,
the blood test will be the final indicator.
Yeah.
So we're hoping for the best.
Hoping for the best, and you should be able to live a continued long and healthy life.
the way I live, I wouldn't put it that way, but this shouldn't be it.
This should not be it. All right, we'll talk some more. We'll do news. I have Hobica's free money question of the day. We'll get into that. And so much more with Father Sean O'Brien. Coming up, you want to pipe in, 315-736-0186. We'll give you that chance after the free money question. Coming up at WIBX, Tim Reed from the Boilermaker, who's successfully battling prostate cancer right now. And then hearing from Father Sean, it seems like more, I don't remember hearing about, maybe I'm getting older, and that's why.
No,
so friends, acquaintances, good morning.
I think that you become more aware of it, but as Father Sean said, it's like every,
it seems to be younger. Yeah, it seems to be younger today.
This becomes a health threat.
This will be the topic as Father Sean has brought up his battle with prostate cancer, which everybody believes is going successfully. Steve in Utica standing by on the line right now. Good morning, Stephen.
Morning, Bill.
You ready to go? It's going to be 7 seconds. Chance at $100 in cash from the Hobica Law Firm. Joseph and Andrew Hobica, 315-724-1600. Here we go. Here's your question. As Father Sean was talking about the blood test, which everybody should get done, really when you get into your 40s, it's a simple blood test called PSA. A test to detect prostate cancer. Before this test, diagnosis of prostate cancer was a death sentence. Today, most people will survive prostate cancer. In fact, doctors will tell you you should not die from prostate cancer. So here's your question. Such a fun topic, isn't it? Here's your question.
Oh, yeah.
Here's your question. Listen, survival is the fun topic, and this test is what allows people to survive. So here's your question. 7 seconds to answer it. What year did the FDA approve the PSA test? Ready? Go. What year?
1987.
1987 was the. It wasn't until 1994 that this was approved. Prior to that, Father, there was no test. I mean, they do maybe an examination or something, but for the most part, you waited for symptoms. So, 1994 was the...
Well, I think 94 is when they finally determined that it was a valid indicator.
Correct, yeah. And they approved it. We'll give you a $25 gift card to the 72 Tavern and Grill. All right?
Okay.
And
that'll work, Bill.
Good food over there, good atmosphere, the beverages are great, and, of course, TV's all over the place. Stephen Davey's going to hook you up, okay?
Excellent. Thanks, Bill. Have a good day.
Thanks so much. You too. But prior to 1994, it would not have detected this for Tim Reed, for Sean O'Brien, Father Sean. And
it's 25 years ago, actually.
When you think about it, yeah,
25
really changed the world. Fred Matt in studio right now. Good morning, Fred.
How are you?
I know it's not the greatest of topics, but it's one.
No, it's an important one.
It's an important
people
topic.
Should be tested.
You're absolutely right.
Sure.
So I have to. So it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, something like
the Utica City FC Milwaukee was coming to town,
right.
And the mayor pulled off a pretty cool publicity stunt, saying,
it was awesome,
we're
obviously.
going to ban old Milwaukee, and
which they don't sell there anyway.
Yeah,
I didn't think they did.
No, I was going to be pissed if they did.
Be like, hello. So
although I was more pissed when I saw the comments,
and that's what prompted all of this.
Yeah.
So explain what happened.
So the mayor came out and banned Milwaukee's Best, which we thought was great, and the odd got behind it and said, let's do a big Utica Club promotion. And then on WKTV's website, the comments were just out of control. There was probably 92 comments about Utica Club.
In a negative way?
A negative way.
I
would say 92 comments, I would say probably 50% were negative.
Yeah.
And the thing that was surprising to me, most of it went to that it's piss or it tastes like toilet water. I mean, do we have that many Uticans that drink from the toilet?
Yeah.
I mean,
how do you compare, right? How would you know?
How do you compare that?
Yeah.
I don't get it. But, I mean, it's, you have a beer that is winning accolades around the world in blind tastings. It is an awesome beer. I mean, if you like craft beer, you may not like a Utica Club.
And it's a hot product right now.
It's hot. It is growing.
And that's been going on for the last, at least the last 10 years.
It's the whole retro thing.
Yeah.
And it is, and I guess, for all my naysayers out there, I would challenge them, come down to the brewery and we'll bring your favorite beer.
Yeah.
We'll do a blind tasting. I guarantee you, every time we do a blind tasting with Utica Club, it wins. And so it's sheer ignorance. And it's what's frustrating is you have a town that is really starting to feel good about itself.
Mm-hmm.
And we at the brewery, we're doing a big investment. We're doing about a $32 million investment. And just for the naysayers that are going to come next, well, they're getting all government money.
Yeah, I am.
That is such bull
Thank
crap.
you for the crap word.
Topics is gone, and I think we know where some people.
Yeah,
are
they've all gone to
KTV's
message.
But I mean, it's unbelievable. So we are going to spend $32 million at least. We are getting less than 10%.
Yeah.
Normally, people would get 20%. We're getting less than 10%. And the sign that supposedly the government paid for, that just isn't right.
Yeah.
So you get sick of the negativity around here. We have so much positive stuff that is great, and let's celebrate this area.
Especially if you really think about what you guys have accomplished from when I remember coming back from Providence, and this was at a time where all of a sudden things were pretty low at that point. It was bad. I mean,
we lost $10 million in 4 years, $1.8 million the year before.
We were close to losing the brewery.
Yeah, we were literally out of business.
And there was no government to come in and save your ass.
No.
You guys found a way, and obviously it turned out to be Saranac was the one thing that really pumped so much life into the brewery. But look at where we are today. You go to places like Boston and New York City and Washington, D.C., and all of a sudden they're drinking Saranac at the bar.
Well, and interestingly, so Colorado is our second best state. North Carolina is our third best state on Utica Club, and it's because people leave New York and they want a great brand. I
do give my son a great deal of credit for the Colorado thing. So he does. He shows up every time there's a beer fest in Colorado, and you're there.
Yeah.
My son makes his way over to your.
He does. We shoot a beer.
But that is that's typical of people from here. We get very excited when we see our beer being consumed somewhere else.
Well, I always said that's New York. I say that when people leave New York, when do people love New York the most? When they leave it.
Yeah.
And when you see people from New York, it's awesome. And it's this. I probably shouldn't get so irritated with all the naysayers, but it's those are the negative things that bring this area down. And we have such positive stuff. Let's just shut them down.
Yeah. Well, and it is, I don't know what it is about us. I don't want to speak for this business owner, but he's somebody that does business here and does business in other cities in New York State. And I got to tell you, we have to watch his Facebook page because there are such mean-spirited, negative comments that end up on that Facebook page. And he made a comment to me the other day, I don't have to do this in Syracuse and in Rochester. No one ever leaves nasty messages. Right. But for some reason in Utica, this is where this stuff, what is it about us?
I think we have a great positive vibe coming. I just think that I think a lot of it, people haven't left here.
Yeah.
And, if you leave here, I left for 12 years and I came back. It's awesome.
You appreciate it.
You just appreciate it. It's, I don't know. It's like if you know one thing and you don't ever have any other trial, you don't think anything is better. You think everything else is better. And the fact of the matter is what's best is right under your nose.
I always say that you go into a neighborhood and you see somebody's got they all of a sudden they painted their house. They had New York Sash come in and put new windows in. It's they got a new pool. People drive by and are like, who do they think they are?
Yeah, right.
Other people.
They stole it.
It's like,
they stole it.
How'd they get that for free? I mean, give me a break. In other communities, people are like, "Oh, good for them." There's none of that here. I don't understand. So, but we do have
to celebrate what we have.
We are moving in the right direction.
Yes, we are.
And so the message that you have basically is just, come on, let's shut these people down.
Let's shut down the naysayers and let's really celebrate what we have because it is a tremendous area to live in. And we have good stuff coming.
Big things happening for the first time. We're really experiencing a big push in the right direction.
Yeah. So I got to ask. I was having lunch on Barrack Street Sunday, watching some football games, and
which, by the way, they'll never do food on Barrack Street. No one will ever come down there.
And this city is way too small for two hockey teams. I mean, we've said it before. So the other thing is,
God forbid a soccer team.
The tanks, the expansion you're talking about, $32 million expansion. I saw all the tanks, and I'm like, you guys have been in business over 100 years. the capacity you must be going through now to need all these tanks. What's going on? What are those tanks for?
So a couple things.
And the modernization of what we're talking about. Probably the most modern brewery in the country right now.
So we just did the brew house on Saturday. We just did our first test brew through the new brew house, and the new brew house will be the most flexible, innovative brew house in the country, at least for one day.
Yeah.
But I will tell you right now, the way the brewery business is there's a little softness, and so we will be the most sophisticated brew house. That we christened on Saturday, and that is really state of the art. It's beautiful. I had one of our brewers take me around and show me all his job.
Yeah.
The guy gets to sit in a chair now and just push buttons.
Wow.
But it's really cool. And then the tanks that you're referring to are fermenting and aging tanks. They're called unitanks. And so those have been put in, and now we've got to build the building and do all the piping. There's going to be about 5 miles of piping and refrigeration, et cetera. And that's going to take roughly a year to complete. But, we need that capacity. And so that, right now we're kind of banging on the door of we're tight on capacity. So that will we're at 400,000 barrels, which is roughly about 6 million cases. We will add another 300,000 barrels.
Wow.
And it's also all these changes, too. We hadn't done the brew house since 1947. So, we've upgraded it over the years. But, to put in a state-of-the-art new brew house, we win awards all over the world, so I would say our quality is awesome. But to say that we won't bump the quality up some is to be kidding ourselves.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Andrew.
And then I just want to say, like, as somebody who is younger, who has lived elsewhere and come back, it's almost like when I left and I took, I was down in Nashville, anytime I saw Saranac or anything like that, I would go on a whole diatribe of telling the people why it was so important that my city has it's got a beer named after it, and it's such a critical part of the city because not only is it just the beer, but it's
the one that everybody
I can't
loves.
hear you right now. I don't have headphones, but it's not just that it's a beer. And I was talking with Fred about this. I mean, what the brewery does for the community as a whole. And yeah, we might all share a Utica Club or some other Saranac beer at the end of the Boilermaker, but it's really the community involvement and the fact that everything kind of centers around the Boilermaker to the point where there's a lot of kids my age. I know of people on a hand that have Utica Club on their body. My tattoo is Utica Club because it's a pride thing. And that's, I think, really where people need to get back to, especially the young people. So at least a lot of the younger people that are coming back and living here, they think it's great, and they think the city's great.
Ultimately, though, it does come back to the beer, the taste of the beer. And I think that's near and dear to your message, and that is close your eyes. And believe me, when my son came home for Christmas and the beer was filled with all sorts of, from Saranac to all these other types of craft beers, because it's so hot today. My son drank UC the whole time. Yeah, he loves it, and it's the taste.
A lot of the craft drinkers, the comment we get all the time is, "It's my everyday craft beer."
Yeah,
and it's a really nice beer. And the first beer brewed after Prohibition. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I always say is that all paths lead back to Utica, New York, and that's whether it's the great things we're shipping out, or it's all people or products that have left this area that have a route back to Utica.
And I'm assuming this new state-of-the-art brew house allows you to do, because there are so many other beers that are being created here and being sold as somebody else's beer, but they're being made right here.
Yeah. So, for example, for all of us is one, people want new, so it gives us more flexibility, smaller batch size, and so we can regulate the batch size where we haven't been able to do that. And then for our contract customers, which is about 40% of our business, it's it's the same for them. They need more new, and it's different, unique things, different styles you're doing that we're challenging in the old brew house, sours, things like that we can do like that now.
Pretty cool. Andrew.
And we also had somebody just call in that said they want to thank you for allowing people to go and have a drink at the tavern now. He enjoys going up there.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
Well, Friday night we have our new Polar Haze, which is a juicy IPA from 5 to 8. We have a little tasting, and so I will go up and taste. So anybody want to come and have a beer with me Friday night, let's do it.
This Friday night?
This Friday night.
All right.
They come down from Remsen for that one.
Yeah, I think
Come
it is.
on.
I've got Utica Club on my license plate on the pickup truck, and then the Legion in East Syracuse, New York, now carries it. Sweet. They started for me. I'd been sick.
Yeah.
I went back to the Legion for the first time. It was gone. So I know I'm not the only
They're
one
drinking
it
Yeah.
out in Syracuse. They like it.
All right, Fred, we appreciate it, and you're absolutely right. It's one thing to say we're going to be positive. It's another thing to say let's put down those that are not, and just say, you know what, keep it to yourself.
Blanket party.
Yeah.
I should say that, Father. Father's now making me do 3 Hail Marys.
No. All right, we'll break here at WIBX. Talking about the fact that you went through prostate cancer surgery and you're on recovery.
Right,
and
we're moving forward.
Are you back in? You are doing masks now. So.
Oh, listen to
Everything's
this.
back.
Yeah. Now, thank God, my doctor, the surgeon, the urologist, is in Syracuse, and I lose you around the town of Sullivan, so I don't know if they can pick you up or not. But anyway, I got home on Thursday. That's not true. I got home on Friday from Chicago. And then with the catheter still in, I'm supposed to take it easy, right?
Right.
And I had Christmas Eve, 4 o'clock in Manoa, 5:30 in Bridgeport, midnight in East Syracuse.
Wow.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
Yeah. So
you weren't fooling around.
No.
Yeah.
And so, you know how moms are, and they're like, "Well, you got to take it easy." I said, "Ma, it's Christmas. Who's got time?"
Yeah.
So now I've taken the whole week off. Of course, the catheter's gone and everything. But the staff at the 3 parishes I have been very supportive and very good, so that I'm not working too hard while I'm there.
Yeah.
And then I went and took this. I'm up to camp. I do nothing. Well, I painted.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Do you, because the priests are always there for parishioners.
Yeah. There were 3 of us on the 12th floor, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, 3 priests.
Wow.
We all had the same surgeon. So I'm like, dude, you're going to heaven.
You betcha.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, though, are people there for you? So when you go through...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had... And like Fred was just in here talking about some of the negativity that can be seen here in the Utica area. But I'm going to tell you on the air, and I'm going to... I'm going to say it anyway, and I know some people are going to be a little disappointed because they might fall into this category. But when I returned home from Chicago, I had more get well cards from Utica, Forestport, Boonville, Woodgate, Remsen than I did from where I live in East Syracuse.
Wow. Wow.
So I know Fred's catching a lot of the negativity on Utica Club, which I have stock in that place. I mean, that's my retirement.
No doubt. Yeah. You're right.
But I have my experience with people from Utica. I mean, I was here from 93 to 98. And I still got get well cards from people from here.
You know what I think it is what Fred's talking about, though, is it's a minority. It's a small, vocal, angry, I don't know, bitter.
Right.
They things maybe haven't gone all that well for them. Sour. You're doing well.
Talking about the beer here?
Johnny Thesaurus over here is doing a great job.
I told Anthony Pacenti once, maybe it might have been a year ago, I saw him at the cathedral for some event, and a family member, a friend of his, was receiving an award from the bishop, so he was there and I told him, and I like where I am, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Oneida County, thumbs up right there.
Well, we went to, can you believe the radio TV program is gone at Herkimer? I mean, that's where Father Sean and I,
I didn't know that.
Where
the
we
golf
first
course
met.
is gone. That upset me.
Yeah.
That's where I broke up with my girlfriend, told her I was going to the seminary.
That
On
is,
the 5th hole, I came home with a black eye.
Was there a golf
You
course
didn't wait
there?
till the 9th hole?
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a golf course.
Yeah, with a nine-hole golf course up on the back side.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little story. And I know you've got the rest of the show to do, and I want to head up north. I let my wood stove burn down because after a while I don't have a ash bin.
Mm-hmm.
I have to shovel it out, put it in a bucket, and then stick it out in the ash hole. That's the hole I dug in the yard in the autumn.
I like
put
that.
The ashes,
Thank you for that. Yes.
Ash pit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Ash pit is ash hole. It's
right.
all
Good
the same
thing we're not on the air today.
Yeah.
No.
I think we would have been in trouble.
Off the air, Bill and I and the two of you we were talking about how you have to make the positive no matter how bad things are.
Yeah.
It was a very painful surgery. It was a very hard recovery. It's only been 7 weeks, but I'll tell you, it seems a lot longer. 3 weeks with a catheter is a killer.
Yeah, you did tell me I wish this on nobody. Yeah. But what you have as a result is life.
Right, and I'll give you a little, just a short story of something that happened to me. I indicated to Andrew earlier on the streets of Chicago. Northwestern Medical Center, or Memorial Medical, or whatever it's called. Anyway, Northwestern, one of the entrances is on what's called North St. Clair Street. I had been taken back to the hospital into the emergency room because of an infection, which is common. I wish I had known that.
Yeah.
Because it was scary. I've never had my prostate out before. So I got this infection. It was very scary. The catheter wasn't draining. So I ended up in the emergency room. So at the first time, they released me. The second time, they readmitted me. Anyway, the first time, they released me. Now, my sister was at the ballet, with her buddy.
Yeah.
So
this is in Chicago.
Yeah, so I had to Uber from the emergency room back to my sister's house.
Ooh.
I've never seen a hospital emergency room that's ever been in a good neighborhood.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I'm wearing my Scotch plaid Felice Jam pants that I bought at the dollar store. Okay. Shirt, flannel shirt that I had bought at the dollar store. Not even the poor quality, worse than this one I'm wearing now. My wool coat, which I have on. My Bugs Bunny scarf and my hat. And sticking out of my right pant leg was a catheter pipe, and then the catheter bag was in a Walgreens plastic bag.
Wow.
Which are not yet illegal in Chicago.
Which will be banned soon. Yeah.
Be banned here soon.
I'm smoking a cigarette. And I'm waiting for Uber on the sidewalk outside the emergency room. I'm a captain in the United States Navy. I'm a priest in the Holy Roman Catholic Church. Okay?
Yeah.
This bum walked by. Older man, probably in his 60s. He had on a tan raincoat. It was all nasty and stained up and everything. I mean, just a hobo.
Yeah.
A streetwalker. He looked at me, and he goes, "Man, you look rough." Now, wait a minute.
That is so funny.
True story.
Yeah.
He invited me to St. Francis because he knew that their shelter would have a bed.
Wow.
So I told him, no, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to say I'm waiting for Uber to go to my sister's house now.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not feeling well, thank you. I said, I want to hang out by the emergency room.
Yeah.
He wished me a good night, and he continued up north St. Clair to the Mission. So Uber came. We're driving home, he and I. The guy's driving me home. Very nice. Helped me in the car. I mean, even the Uber drivers in Chicago. I love that city.
Yeah.
Anyway, he and I got to talking. He had no idea I was a priest. He had no idea I was an 06 full bird in the Navy. He just saw some poor guy on the street on a cold night that might need a place to stay.
Yeah.
And, the guy was in his 60s. And as I look back, I have no idea where he was when he was in his 30s.
Yeah.
And the lesson was you just can't judge, can you?
That's absolutely right.
I mean he might have been a bum 30 years ago. I don't know that.
Yeah.
But the kindness and the charity that's in the hearts of people, basically in the hearts of people, and to not judge because you don't know. That guy could have had a college education for all I know.
Right.
And things just didn't go well for him in his life.
Yeah.
And that was one of the powerful lessons I learned from this illness. I mean, it's something I know anyway, and I preach it as a priest, but then to experience it can be very powerful.
Yeah. That's an amazing story, and one that we should all really focus on, right? Pretty wild. Sean in Boonville wants to say hello. Sean, you're on the radio. 315-736-0186 is our phone number here. If you wanted to pipe in before the Father Sean takes off. Sean, good morning.
Good morning. Top of the morning to you, Father Sean.
Oh, I know who it is. Holy cow, one of the best storytellers Boonville's ever had.
I wanted to wish you all the best with all your issues there, my friend, and don't forget what our buddy Ray always says about Utica Club.
And tell everybody, Sean.
You cannot spell success without UC.
There you go.
Exactly it.
There you go. This guy can call an auction, can sing an old song that most people totally forgot the words to.
Yeah,
he knows all the words to these older songs, knows the Boonville, Woodgate, Forestport history very well, and can spin a yarn, as we say in the Navy, and just keep the whole place captivated with his storytelling. One of Boonville's real gems, Sean is.
Sean, thank you for calling in. We really appreciate it.
Sir, you're welcome. Love your show.
All right, thanks so much. Tim in Utica, you're on with Father Sean O'Brien. Hi, Tim. Go ahead. You're on.
Hi, Bill. Morning, Father O'Brien.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, listen, you should be a comedian.
Yeah.
You missed your calling. And another thing.
Oh, no, he got the call. He got it.
When we went to college together, I thought that's what he was going to be honest. I never thought the priesthood would be where he would end up. So
No, I don't think God did either.
I think the Navy probably corrupted him.
Maybe, yeah. 20. It'll be 28 years in May with the Navy.
Pretty incredible.
God bless you.
All right, Tim, thanks for the call. We appreciate it.
That's a great joke, by the way.
Hey, listen, Bill?
Yes, sir.
Can I say one thing about the Matt family?
Yes, absolutely.
Top shelf, first class. That Matt family is just the best thing that ever happened to Utica, and I hope they go another 100 years.
Very cool. All right, man. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. And I'm sure they appreciate it as well. So, and certainly you want them to go another 100 years. For God's sakes, you got to keep that UC going, right?
Oh, every beer I have is an investment in my pension.
That's exactly it. That Chicago story, though, is just an incredible story that we should all keep in mind. Because just when you think you know something, you really don't know the backstory. You really don't know.
No.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was a comedy sketch as it was happening.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I had time to stop and think about, holy macaroni, I don't know this guy's history. He certainly doesn't know mine.
Right.
But at that time, we were just two poor men on the street of Chicago on a cold winter's night, and he was looking, he offered me a place to stay.
Pretty cool.
I wasn't going to tell him my sister lives a half a mile from Wrigley Field in a real nice brown house.
Yeah, that's right. You're off to luxury. Listen, Father, thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you. I got to head up north and relight the wood stove after I shovel it out.
And keep us posted on. We're all confident. We'll all pray that your blood work comes back in a very, very positive way. So not positive, but in a positive way.
That's right. Yeah,
you got to remember
we want it to be negative. Yeah,
we want it to be negative.
Positive is negative. Yeah.
But in a positive light.
It'll all work out for the best, however it comes.
All right. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
God bless.
Father Sean O'Brien, always one of my favorite times to do radio. He had one of those old snowmobiles that looked like the one in, what was it? Like Santa Claus is coming to town.
T-Ford snowmobile.
Do you still get on microphone? We got to get him for this here. Like the one in Santa Claus is coming to town with the.
I was just leaving the studio. Why you got to bring this stuff up?
I'm
I got to
sorry.
go home and let the dog out. Anyway, the Model T Ford Snowmobile Club had their national tour in Forestport, New York in 2000. They're having it again. February 2nd is a Saturday.
Okay.
In Forestport, New York, at the Trackside Blazers Clubhouse on the Norton Road in Forestport off of Route 28 across from the Wigwam. That's the bar with the airplane sticking out.
Yep.
This is not written down for those of you who are watching on TV. It's all off the top of my head.
And you're doing well.
But, yeah, mine was a 1926 Model T Ford snowmobile, belonged to the post office. They used to deliver mail up the Golden Road out of Boonville towards West Leyden.
And the Santa Claus is coming to town. That was, if you remember,
That's
it was
what Fred
a
Astaire had.
It was a postman.
Yep.
So,
all right, now I got to go.
Okay, but you don't have that anymore.
No, I donated that to a museum.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But the one you have is still older. It's an older model.
I have a 23 Model T Ford.
Yeah.
And I have a 30 Model A Ford. But my new car's a Dodge.
All right. Be on your way. The dog's got to get out. So thank you, Father. Father Sean O'Brien. All right, Andrew will do news coming up in a second. I have tickets to give away for boxing. It is back at the Turning Stone this Friday night in the Event Center. It's a heavyweight main event as Brian Jennings battles Oscar Rivas. And the undercard features Shakur Stevenson and Jesse Chris Rosales. The doors open at 6 p.m. on Friday at the Event Center. It's always cool to see boxing out of the Turning Stone. Tickets start at just $45. Call 361-SHOW for details. And coming up next, we'll give you a chance to win a pair of tickets for Friday night. Coming up at WIBX. How about Syracuse last night?
Well, can I just make a side point? And that is, I said to Andrew said to me, where are we going to watch the game? And I needed to get some gym in yesterday. So I did. And then I came back and I thought maybe we'd catch the second half. But you were trying to go to bed at 8:30. So I listened to the game on the radio, which, Davey, it was on what station?
96.9 WOUR.
That's right, it was.
Which we own now.
Matt Park did a great job with the game, but I'll tell you, last night was one of the nights where I'm like, damn, why did I cancel my cable? Stupid.
I know, so I listened to the entire first half, and just listening to them go on that 12-0 run, and you just hear how loud Cameron was. I'm like, they're going to get blown out by 40. And then all of a sudden there was just that timeout. Boeheim took that timeout, and
they're down 12-0 out of the gate.
Yeah.
So You say you went on ESPN and they would not allow you to watch the game.
Yeah, it said you can watch live, and then it said choose one. It was like Syracuse versus Duke, and there was something else. And then when I clicked on that, it asked for my carrier, and I clicked Spectrum, and then it said you're. I don't know if it asked for my password or whatever, and then but ultimately it said user request invalid.
But you're not Spectrum.
Yeah, because you don't have a Spectrum
You don't have
account.
Spectrum. That's not your carrier.
No, well, they would be my carrier.
But they'd ask you what your carrier is. I'm pretty sure if you don't have a carrier, that the ESPN will allow you to watch. It used to be you could watch college basketball online without any Spectrum or without anything. You could just watch it online. Right, Davey?
You are correct, Bill.
Because what it essentially does, they probably don't. They're probably getting smart to the people want to pay for it.
It might be possible they're charging now, but it always used to be you could watch any college basketball game on ESPN.com without having cable.
So what they're asking you is, like, let's say you went to somebody else's house or you were traveling and you wanted to pull it up in the airport on your laptop. Well, they'd say, yeah, you can watch it on the Watch ESPN app, but you have to prove that you have a satellite account somewhere or a cable account somewhere.
I
or
mess
something
with
like
them.
that.
The way I do it, I log on and it says, "What's your carrier?" I type in Dome, and it gets me through every time. I don't know what you're typing.
No,
in.
because what the idea is, they know that you pay for ESPN because you have a subscription to. You subscribe to cable or you are a DirecTV customer.
I might be craving nicotine, but what you're saying does not make sense.
It does make sense. 100%.
I'm wondering if they've changed the rules now.
Can you help me out why they ask for the provider, though? Because you would type in your billing account and password.
Correct, but that would mean that they're requiring that you have a cable carrier,
which is the opposite of what he's saying.
Which is what I'm saying is you didn't used to have that. You couldn't watch NFL, but you could watch a college basketball game without having cable.
What I'm saying is why you didn't get the Spectrum thing is because they wanted you to pay. It's probably not the case anymore. They want people who pay for ESPN to be able to watch it.
And you can get ESPN Plus right now, which is $4.99 a month. You could now. So it looks like they're now charging for what used to be free.
Yeah, and ESPN Plus, by the way, is not basically
live programming.
ESPN and live programming and stuff. That's my understanding of it. Because I looked it up. If I wanted ESPN Live, it came in a larger package. You couldn't just get the one channel, but it was $35 a month.
Yeah.
And then if I wanted every ESPN product, ESPN2, ESPN3, ESPN News, ESPN Deportes, ESPN...
It's more than your cable would have cost you.
It was $50 a month, which gives you an idea. You're dealing directly with ESPN, and they want to charge you $50 a month for all their products. And, again, I was paying another $85 a month for cable, and I got another 186 channels or whatever it was.
Here's Joe Lowe. Good morning, Joseph. Good morning.
You know, it just amazes me how everything costs money. You know what I mean?
It's
like the good old days of trying to find a good chicken barbecue for only $10.
Yeah.
You know, now it's $20, except for this Saturday at the Cosby Manor Road Eagles Club, where it's only $10 and it supports the Deerfield Snowmobile Trail Club.
Would you steal that chicken you're serving or what?
Always trying to find a way to squeeze a plug in there, that Joe Load. So where is this?
It's at the Eagles Club on Cosby Manor Road from 12 to 4 this Saturday, and I'll be DJing. And where else can you get a great chicken barbecue? It's like a whole quarter leg thigh of the chicken, and a whole dinner for $10. It's great. Bring
what
the
else
family.
is on the dinner?
I don't know. You get a lot of fixings.
Where's the money go? Where's the money go?
It's for the Trailblazers or whatever.
The Deerfield Snow Trail. And, you know, here's the deal. The state, you know, when you pay your registration, you're supposed to get money that goes to each club. But without the snow, that means they're not pumping money into gas for the clubs.
Right.
You know, the clubs, you got to raise money somehow, you know.
Yeah. Joe, I just found this thing Father Sean was just on about this Utica Club carton, and it looks like almost
I've seen KFC has their big, like, the mashed potatoes in it, and it's like almost like, or a soup, like a large soup thing.
It almost looks like a round cup with a like that you'd put soup into, with a cover on it. It's an old Utica Club container that you'd go in, you'd fill it up, and you'd put the cover on, and away you would go. You'd have your beer there in an insulated cup.
Yeah, it's a cardboard insulated cup.
Yeah.
And I have them. Yep. It's there's a lot of collectors out there that have them around. There's not as many as you used to be because you don't think about it, Bill. People, after they get done with their drink or their soup, they throw the thing out. So there's not a lot.
Right. You want to hold on to that. I mean, probably back
hold
then.
on to that stuff.
You never thought back then that would be worth anything, but I do know on eBay it's selling for $12.95 with $11 shipping,
Bill,
by the way. Yeah.
I wanted to come out today on your show if that would be possible.
That's fine. We live in that world today.
Yep.
So I am officially announcing that I am running the Boilermaker this year for the Utica Boilermaker, not the little one, the 15K.
The 15K. Nice.
Yeah.
How much weight have you lost, Joe, total?
80 pounds right now since February, and 49.5 pounds since September 7th.
Wow. So you think about almost you've lost a little young female, 80 pounds right there in a year.
Right. I mean, that's like a person. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
A lot. I actually have a
I was about to describe that much differently and realized midway through my thought process, I probably will be in trouble if I say what was going through my mind right there. So I didn't say it. Yeah. Just saying.
Oh, man. Everything's going great. You guys sound awesome. It was nice to hear a game on WOUR that you guys now own. That's huge. I mean,
pretty cool.
You got everything on there, yeah.
All right, Joe. By the way, that chicken barbecue, just $10, and it's this week.
$10 Saturday, 12 to 4.
Thanks, Joe.
I'll see you there.
Okay. Yes. Have a great day, Joe.
Okay.
Coming up, we're going to speak with Joe Roberts, the play-by-play guy. He's the play-by-play guy for the Comets, right?
Yes.
We're going to speak with him coming up. And let's see, Comets are home tomorrow night against the Syracuse Crunch. Last night's Syracuse game was phenomenal. If you, I know we got into the whole ESPN thing, but ultimately no one expected that last night. I think they were 17-point underdogs last night.
In the open, game. 12-0 out 12-0. Like that is.
It looked like this game was going to go exactly where everybody expected it to go. And to do it inside that Duke gym was awesome.
Yeah.
And this guy, what's his name? The Duke player. He's in. What's his name?
Williamson.
Zion Williamson.
Zion Williamson is enormous.
35 points, 10 boards.
Huge.
Yeah.
Listening to Boeheim's press conference afterwards online, he compared him to a middle-sized Charles Barkley.
Yeah, that's fair enough, I think.
So there was two other surprises that came out of the game. One, that amazing three-quarter three-point shot.
Did you see that shot?
I heard it.
By Hughes.
And
it was a full-court shot. He threw it up at the buzzer, and it was all net.
That's awesome.
You don't see it often.
And then there's photos, I guess, going around circulating online that Jim Boeheim, he may have spilled a drink on himself or something, and so apparently there's pictures going around that he wet himself. Coach Boeheim.
Really?
Yeah, at the end of the game. So the joke is that even Boeheim was so surprised that he wet himself.
I got to tell you something. Between some of the calls last night, both he and Coach K were both at some point really awkward looking and livid.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not sure that they wet themselves, but
Smitty can help me with this. The Matt Parks' final call of the game was, "Leave your jacket on."
Yeah.
Right. But
that's funny.
Who does he do the game with? The guy was stepping all over him.
Jim Sadlin. He's a former basketball coach.
Yeah,
he's rough.
Was just stepping all over. For instance, somebody would shoot, and he'd be screaming, "It's in!" And Park was still in the middle of his call. He did it several times throughout the second half.
Battle almost won the game with a three-point shot. Almost won the game in regulation. And he threw it up, and in battle fashion, he made some incredible shots last night. I thought the game was going to be over right there. For them to come back and really win by 5 or 6 points was 4 points.
In overtime. A lot of pressure.
In OT. Pretty darn cool. All right, hold on tight. Joe Roberts from the Utica Comets coming up as we'll wrap up a Tuesday morning here at WIBX.